Now, I know a thing or two about pranks going too far. One minute I was on holiday in Iceland, and the next I was condemned to balance being a performing orangutan communing with the voices behind the camera lens, and learning way too much about Africa. So, in that spirit, I thought that we would discuss some wacky happenings on a strange little island, where a man and his friends, full of joy and whimsy, decided to pull off the greatest April Fool's joke of all time. By tricking everyone into thinking that they were about to die in a Pompeii-style inferno. The eruption of Mount Edgecombe. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. So, I'm a pretty security-minded guy. I always do my double take when I'm locking up the house, and I always ensure that I'm zipped up when I'm going out in public. And I always try my hardest to reduce my digital footprint whenever I can. The thing is though, your data is quite the commodity, with data brokers ravenously clawing and snapping their jaws for even a morsel of your information. All so they can sell it off for a tidy profit and assure that you get annoying scam calls at 1 in the morning, and also ensuring that your spam folder has something to hold, leaving the onus on you to manually send legal requests for their removal. A tedious task to say the least. Good thing that today's sponsor, Aura, is here to help. Aura is here to do the dirty deed for you. Being the righteous Karen, you need to get your data out of their hands, and Aura will monitor data breaches for any of your data and send out mass removal requests on your behalf, notifying you of said leak alongside the removal request, with you not even having to lift a finger. But Aura isn't just a data Johnny. They also have a robust alert system in place, so if your data is leaked, you will get a live update from them, alongside having an inbuilt VPN, password manager, and antivirus. Talk about full spectrum protection, with 24-hour US-based support to boot, all in one nifty little app. And look, I know that prevention is better than a cure, but if the worst does somehow come to pass, Aura comes with $5 million in identity theft insurance, so you can rest assured that you're covered on all fronts. So, if you want to be protected, you can try Aura for free for 14 days by clicking the link in the description box down below or going to aura.com/Dankula. Again, you can click the link in the description box down below or go to aura.com/Dankula for a 14-day free trial and see if some schmuck is making money with your data. Your data might have a price, but peace of mind is priceless. Our man of the hour is a little scamp named Oliver Porky Bicker, a Normandy veteran and a logger who loved to show off by hitting targets such as hard hats with trees that he felled. But more importantly, he also loved to fuck with people. Porky liked to put plastic flamingos in trees to confuse wildlife tours. And he also stuck an entire tree in his friend's driveway. And he ran a 1-for-2 chainsaw sale at his logging gear shop, Porky's Equipment Incorporated. According to his daughter, and I quote, "There wasn't a day went by that he didn't make people crack up laughing over one thing or another." But all of these pranks were just mere molehills compared to the mountainous feat that Porky was destined to fulfill. One day in 1971, Porky looked up and had an amazing idea. You see, Porky lived in Alaska, which is part of the big Pacific Ring of Fire, which is a hotbed of earthquakes, kaiju incursions, and volcanoes. Alaska sees about 2 eruptions every year, so it's always a little bit of concern for the residents when a mountain up there starts looking a little bit shifty. And sitting on Cruise-Off Island, just across the water from Porky's hometown of Sitka, is Mount Edgecombe. a 3,200 foot volcano with a name that is going to make the jokes in this video really fucking easy. But this volcano isn't anything to worry about though. It's only ever erupted 3 times, most recently around 2220 BC. However, it's not quite extinct because there's still the odd rumblings here and there. It's just lying dormant. And yes, they actually named it Mount Edgecumbe, because this thing has been edging for about 4,000 years with constant tension building inside, and it was about to blow its thick, hot, sticky lava all over Sitka. Or was it? Porky's plan was in the works for about 3 years, but bad weather kept forcing him to cancel. Because what's the point of erupting a volcano if it's too foggy for anyone to even see it? So he bided his time, preparing and stockpiling supplies in a plane hangar until he woke up on the 1st of April 1974. And finally, he saw a clear sky. Mount Edgecumbe had edged enough. It was go time. Getting out of bed, Porky told his wife Patricia, "I have to do it today." And she replied, "Just don't make an arse of yourself." Women are no fun. On the other hand, dudes rock, so Porky assembled the boys, known as the Dirty Dozen, despite there being less than 12 of them. And they all gathered at his office. Then he had to pick up the phone and book passage up the mountain. 3 helicopter charters turned him down, with one claiming to be afraid of whiteout even though the day was clear. I think he was just letting Porky down gently. But all was not lost. One of the Dirty Dozen, local bar owner Harry Salser, put Porky in touch with Errol Walker, a helicopter pilot in Petersburg who absolutely fucking loved the idea and said, "You son of a bitch, I'm in." And he said that he would fly over as soon as the morning fog had cleared in his area. While waiting for their lift, Ken Steadman and Larry Nelson helped Porky load up 2 manila rope slings that he had made himself. And they were made out of rags, smoke bombs, and 70 tyres soaked in kerosene. The first of these was transported to the mountain by helicopter and dumped in the crater. Then, as Errol went back for the second sling of net zero inhibitors, Porky stomped out the shapes of letters in the snow, and he spray painted April Fool in 15-metre letters. Once the second stack of Greta's grievances were in the crater, Porky piled them all together and set the entire mess of Miliband's misgivings on fire. And then he flew away as the place was starting to get a little bit smoky. As the massive plume of black smoke was rising from the volcano, the people of Sitka poured into the streets, stunned by the news that there was no new pope. Oh, and they were also freaking out a little bit because, holy fucking shit, the fucking volcano's erupting. But while the prank had been perfectly executed, Porky did have the foresight to give the Federal Aviation Administration and the local police a little bit of a heads up about what was happening, so that he didn't cause any official upsets and get himself into trouble. But he forgot to tell the Coast Guard, who sent a helicopter up the volcano to investigate the smoke coming from the crater. The pilot saw the tyres and the spray-painted message, and he immediately relaxed. Meanwhile, phone lines were exploding all over the place with calls to the authorities until the Coast Guard came back with their report, and they urged everyone to remember that nothing ever happens. On the way back down the mountain, an air traffic controller named Homer Stutter found the entire thing so fucking funny that he actually gave Porky an assist with selling the illusion by offering to, and I quote, "bring you in as low and inconspicuously as possible. And by the way, the son of a gun looks fantastic." The Admiral of the Coast Guard also told Porky that the prank was brilliant. And after the initial shock of a smoking volcano died down, the entire community of Sitka fucking loved it once they realised that they weren't actually all about to fucking die and they were just being told porkies. To quote Hal Spackman, the executive director of the Sitka History Museum, and I quote, "I guess after the initial moments of fear, because Mount Edgecombe had erupted in the past, it was 4,000 years ago. But whenever you see a volcano on fire, that makes you a little bit edgy. I think once people settled down, they thought it was pretty funny." The prank went down so well that the vice president of Alaska Airlines, Jimmy Johnson, actually had a plane diverted so that the passengers could all get a good look at the smoking volcano. The following year, the airline actually ran a campaign where Alaskans all competed with each other for bragging rights over who had the coolest story. And Porky came out swinging with his entry. On April Fool's Day, I hired a chopper and flew 70 old kerosene-soaked tyres to the top of the dormant volcano Mount Edgecombe that looms over Sitka. I set the tyres on fire, and the billowing black smoke created one hell of a commotion in Sitka. I dare you to top that April Fool's joke. And somehow, Porky fucking lost the competition. Apparently, the winner survived a bear attack, which is hardly special. All of my exes can say the same thing. But this loss aside, Porky still covered himself in plenty of glory. He never got into any kind of trouble at all for the prank because all of this happened back when the authorities weren't complete fun sponges. He had his 15 minutes in national news, and he even had a very well-earned commemorative jacket made for him. But the best part of this entire thing came about 6 years later, when Mount St. Helens erupted. A Denver lawyer actually sent Porky a clipping of the Denver Post with a note that read, "This time, you little bastard, you've gone too far." But considering how much everyone loved the stunt that Porky pulled, he would have to do a lot to go too far. As Spackman put it, and I quote, "Mount Edgecombe really dominates the Sitka Sound. It is so much a part of the area. It's not something that goes unnoticed. For somebody to actually go and make people think that the thing was going to explode, it's something that people still talk about to this day. It is a top 10 prank." And needless to say, Porky enjoyed infinite bragging rights until he sadly passed away in 2003. And his local legend status still persists to this day. Going back to Spackman one last time, he fondly recalled Porky and the Dirty Dozen when he said, "They had an interesting sense of humour that some appreciated more than others. He was always brewing up something. It wasn't unlike him and his group to do this. He was a very jolly character and was always looking for a prank or something funny or something noticeable." That is just what he was like. Now, I love a good prank myself. God knows all of us here in the studio all fuck with each other 24 hours a day. For example, whenever one of the staff gets a new girlfriend and they bring her into the office so that we can all meet her for the very first time, we always try and talk to her privately and tell her a bunch of shit that we just absolutely made up about our new boyfriend. For example, when one of the writers brought his girlfriend into the office to meet all of us for the very first time, we told her that he got banned from Twitter for 2 months for calling Greta Thunberg Anne Frank but less fuckable. We also told her that he claps when his train arrives at the station, and we also told her that every single time he finishes a meal, he rubs his tummy and says, "Yum, yum, yum." She believed most of them. We actually still have the gaslighting document, which, you know what, I actually might just post online. I even actually commissioned a hentai artist to make a sexy anime drawing of him, and then I hung it up in the girls' toilets at eye level where the girls sit on the toilet. And when she came out and asked, what the fuck is all that about? We told her that he was absolutely insistent that we hang it there. Well, he was freaking out and panicking and screaming, going, "No, I didn't, they're lying, they're trolling you, they're trolling, I didn't do that." And that was fucking funny. But that just actually ultimately resulted in his girlfriend loving the picture, and she took it home, and it's now hanging in her room. And he's absolutely fucking furious about that to this day. So the prank actually went a lot better than expected. So, while this is just a short little video, I wanted to discuss Porky's Mount Edgecombe prank because I really admire his steadfast commitment to the bit, and also because it's just really fucking funny. I also miss a time where you could do fucking hilarious pranks like this and not have to worry about a 30-year prison sentence or being forced to pay millions and millions of dollars in damages for a prank that didn't do any damage at all, apart from make some people shit their pants.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody should subscribe.